For me, it's hard to understand a foreign language when spoken. Isn't there any efficient way to improve my listening skills? Don't forget to subscribe to Lang Explorer to show your support. Do you have a problem understanding when you listen to speeches in a foreign language? You can't hold a smooth conversation if you don't understand what people tell you. Also, some languages have different accents, including those harder ones for non-natives. How can I get used to all of them? But don't worry. Internet is full of resources to improve your listening ability, providing you with a number of videos and sounds from anywhere in the world. Get exposed to different ways to speak, including very fast ones and others with accents, and you'll have no problem following speeches. The two main reasons why you can't understand a foreign language when spoken are the mere lack of listening practice despite the high reading level you have. For instance, you would understand the same sentence if it were not spoken but written, and the general lack of your knowledge in that language. In other words, you wouldn't understand the same sentence anyway even if it were written. In the second case, you obviously don't understand what you hear if you don't understand what you read, so it's better to practice reading, grammar, and vocabulary skills at the same time. We'll come back to reading skills in another video, while today we focus on the listening abilities. There are many reasons why you don't understand by listening what you can understand by reading, but one of the most important ones is that you haven't understood yet your target language's phonology. Each language has its own and unique sound system, and it's quite important for students of a foreign language to grasp it, as some consonants and vocals can sound very similar to your ear, on top of the fact that your wrong pronunciation can trigger misunderstandings. One of the examples we mentioned already in our previous video are such tonal languages, for example Chinese, Thai, and Vietnamese, as such tones are an essential part of the pronunciation, and you really need to get to distinguish them to be able to understand correctly what is told. Also, some languages have different accents, putting another hurdle for those who study them as non-natives. This is often the case of those who study English as a second language and then receive guests from United Kingdom, Australia, or India, as they're only used to hear American English as standard and aren't trained enough for other accents. As for other languages are concerned, this might happen occasionally when such students of French language move to Quebec, Canada, when those who study European Spanish visit Latin America, when those who study Mandarin travel to Taiwan, and those who only have studied Brazilian Portuguese go to Portugal, among others. Natives are more exposed to different variants of the same language and are therefore able to understand such accents and sometimes different vocabulary, grammar, and so on, while non-natives who hear such accents for the first time are rather bewildered. Now, if you're looking for listening resources, YouTube is a great resource center for you. Here you can find countless videos in any language, and most of them allow you to read subtitles. You can download them and then read them carefully or, if necessary, translate them by machine translation into English too. Keep in mind that these transcriptions are by no means perfect, as they're machine-made ones, and there are many typos and omissions, especially with proper names of people and places, but you can still get a fairly accurate text that you can use as a reference. You can also turn subtitles on and off and watch videos over and over again in order to improve your ability to understand the spoken language. Another tool we can deal with today to further improve your listening skills is to change the playback speed. On YouTube, you can change it from 0.25 to 2 by 0.25, but once you get used to listening to a certain extent in the target language, you can increase the speed to 1.25 or 1.5, not only to get used to the rhythm of those people who speak fast, but also to save your time. At 1.25, you can listen to the same file, saving 20% of the time, at 1.5 a third, and at 2 half. Other players usually have this function of changing the speed too. But be careful, because people won't understand you if you get used to these speeds and start speaking too fast. Try to speak slowly, especially if you're going to give a speech in public. Watching news channels is always a good idea if you want to get used to the target language. Firstly, announcers are well trained to speak the standard language, and their pronunciation is the example for students to imitate. Note that some languages are pluricentric and you can hear different accents, which is similar to what you experience when you change to BBC after watching an American TV. In such languages, every country has its own standard language which differs slightly from those of other countries in the same language zone, and it's quite helpful to watch TV channels from several countries if the language you're now learning is spoken in more than one country, for instance Spanish, French or German. Another important advantage of watching such TV channels is that you can see what's happening in such countries while news media in your own country hardly cover such stories. Every country has its own political and socio-economic reality, affecting significantly people's mindset and opinion, and it's quite important to follow such current affairs so you can understand what's at stake there. The more knowledge you get on the target language, the more important it'll be for you to understand well what the reality and the concerns are for those who speak it every day. Also, keeping in touch with such local media can help you get familiar with news terms in the language you're learning. For example, those who were following news on COVID-19 in different languages could easily identify which term in English corresponds to which word in the target language, as they were reading similar stories from several sources. Though such experiences can be done not only by watching TV but also by reading news sites, such a regular exposure to different media is helpful in brushing up not only your listening skill, but also your vocabulary on current topics. Some TV channels in languages other than English offer specific contents for those who want to study the very language they're using. For instance,
TV5 Monde,
a channel set up thanks to a cooperation among different French-speaking countries, has a section dedicated to those who learn French.
Deutsche Welle
has a similar website for students of the German language, and KBS has its own sites for those who are studying Korean, among others. There you can see excerpts of news and other audiovisual resources, with explanations on some difficult terms to help readers understand the topic better, and you can always play videos or audio files to improve your listening skill. Most contents are rather for intermediate-level students who already have the knowledge of both the basic grammar and vocabulary, but such resources can be useful if you're already at this level. In addition, you can use a text-to-speech website to leverage the same material not only for reading but also for listening. First, you do a good reading of the text and resolve any doubts about the meaning of words or grammar. Then you convert this text to the audio file, and you can listen to the sound without having to ask a native speaker to read it aloud for you. The latest technological advances in this field are impressive, and you can hear narrations which are very close to the real ones made by humans. For example, this website uses ttsfree.com, which offers a wide range of options in almost every major language in the world, including many variants of English, such as the American, the British, the Indian, and the African ones, among others. You can download and save MP3 files to listen to them whenever you want, at the playback speed you want, and as many times as you want. But what's the most relevant is that you collect such resources by yourself in this way, and then play them instead of BGM when you have free time, to get used to those sounds. If you go to work by car, you can listen to them instead of the car radio or music. If you commute by train, you can listen to them during such trips. You can also listen to such audio files at home while doing chores such as cooking or cleaning. As you get phonetically more exposed to the language you're learning, your ears will get used to it and, over time, you'll be able to understand conversations without much difficulty. Of course, it's essential not only to hear to such speeches in such a relaxed way, but also to listen to them occasionally, paying your full attention to try to catch the meaning of the words. These are two important practices, similar to the light and intense exercises that athletes do. Let's summarize what we've learned today. You have to be able to understand the written text before being able to understand the same one by listening. It's impossible to understand what you hear if you don't understand it by reading. Each language has its own phonology, completely different than the English one, and you have to make a lot of effort to understand it. Some languages have different accents, such as French with the notable Quebecois accent, several Latin American accents of Spanish and European and Brazilian Portuguese. So you have to get used to the different accents, especially if you want to establish relationships with people from different countries. YouTube is a powerful help for those who are studying a foreign language. In addition to displaying and downloading subtitles for machine translation, you can change the playback speed so you can take advantage of it for your own needs. Watch the news channel in the language you're learning, and if possible more than one channel, as they speak a standard language, which is an example for you to follow. Some international channels provide you with useful contents for your language learning. Some websites convert text data into audio files, so you can use the same resource for both reading and listening. You can listen to these audio resources while commuting to work or doing household chores to get used to the sound of that foreign language. Thank you for watching this video. We're looking forward to seeing you in the next one.